the same time as we're working on flexibility throughout the day, the other component in the equation is movement. Depending on your goal, we can work on specific movement patterns to help to carry over into your sport or activity, regardless of whether that's running down a track, improve your golf game, or just trying to get around a little bit better without pain. Each of the movements I'm about to show you kind of apply to different areas. I'm going to explain how that's the case. So when we're talking about sport or daily life, we have things that occur on two legs, such as maybe your golf game, bending over to pick things up, and things like jumping up and down, maybe if you play basketball, to one-legged sports such as running, walking, different things that involve gaits. Soccer would be another one of them. And then as well we have upper body activities like baseball, like shooting a basketball. And really with that it often comes down to a combination. So, just in terms of asking yourself, what is my chosen goal? What am I doing? And what I'm going to do is show you three movement patterns for bilateral stance, single leg stance, and then an upper body pattern that applies to whatever you're doing. And depending on what you're doing, you can combine those things in a warm-up to help to build whatever you're working on. So our first activity is bilateral stance, all right? And what we want to do to start here is just simply train a deep squat. So the first exercise in this progression would be what is called a squat to stand. My goal here is to be able to improve hip mobility, to get down into a deep squat, so when I'm bending over to pick things up, I'm using my hips as opposed to my low back. All right? So our first exercise here is what is called a squat to stand. So I'm just reaching down, placing my hands around my ankles here, sitting back on my heels and just holding this deep squat position. As you can see, this forces me to sit back on my heels and really get down into this deep position. Even if you never squat down this far in daily life, going past your range of motion is going to help to just improve your movement patterns in terms of whatever you're doing. So I'm just holding down here for 1 to 2 seconds, raising one hand up, raising the other hand up, and rising to my feet. Now if you find you're having trouble rising from that position, what we can do is take a boxer step, place it in front of you here. Just sit back, that's going to give you a little bit of support, reach up, same rules apply. Once you improve the depth of your squat, you're comfortable with squatting, you're using your hips correctly, we can move this along by performing what is called a goblet squat. Now the goblet squat, you can use either a dumbbell or just something to hold on to. And what I'm doing here, instead of sitting back on my heels, is I'm just lowering into this deep squat position and coming back up. Kind of pressing onto this thing here, using this weight here to help me sit back on my heels, holding this position for 1 to 2 seconds and coming back. And again, I would say work on each of these, for maybe 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks, until you gain proficiency, move to the next level. Our final progression for bilateral stance would be a combination movement. All right, so I'm coming down into a squat and I'm pressing. All right, and this is a great move for something like maybe basketball, because again, it's mimicking shooting a basket, or anything that involves upper to lower body power. So golf would be another one. Really, most sports that involve the upper body, baseball. Now, moving on to our single leg stance, the first thing I'm going to start out with is a single leg balance. All right, so if you have trouble balancing on one leg, that might cause pain or something while you're walking. So what I'm going to do here is just balance in this position, holding, and just stepping down if I find that I'm wobbling all over the place. Now once you can do this for 30 seconds, we are just going to move into a step up. Initially I'm going to start with a low step. I'm simply stepping up and down here until I can do 8 to 10 reps. All right, at a decent level. In that case, I would maybe raise the height to maybe a higher box. But once you get maybe 6 to 8 inches off the ground, then you've gained proficiency in that. Our final move would be, again, something that involved upper to lower body movement. So you can do something like a press, step up to press, step up to curl, whatever it may be. Now, our last exercise here is a push-up, the foundational movement for upper body strength. If you find you have trouble doing a push-up by actually producing motion, you're shrugging your shoulders or your torso is coming up or down, what we're going to do is simply hold at the sticking point. Often holding at the sticking point helps to build a little bit of strength, build confidence in that position, and then as you get better at the push-up, we can start to move starting maybe on a wall or somewhere you're comfortable, you've got proper form, and just move down as you go along. Once that is the case, once you're down to a decent level, we can start to, once again, incorporate upper body movement. So I can do things like a shoulder tap push-up, or a push-up with rotation. By increasing the stability demands of the push-up, we're building power and stabilization in the upper body, and this has great carryover to things like golf, to things like baseball, things that involve rotation, throwing, rapid movement of the extremities. And once you get to the end of this progression, again, put it in your warm-up or maybe as a cool-down or a supplement on days that you're not working out, you can move on to your power activities that we'll demonstrate in just a moment.